to reiterate, sex discrimination against women now includes trans women, which is fake women. That means men. So sex discrimination against women now includes men posing as women in the K through college realm. And so they're right and saying you cannot ban someone's participation in any activity based on sex. And so they're right. If this stands, it's true. You're not going to be able to keep these fake women out of any spaces, including sports.
And this is how the universities, how K through 12 already feels that the Biden administration was going to implement it, because the Biden administration has said so out loud. But this puts teeth behind it. And the teeth are very threatening. It is all federal money. So if you would like to have a school lunch program, if you would like to have funding for your special needs kids, if you are a public school and you'd like to have funding at all, then you have to go along with this. And so what that means is now sexual harassment is forbidden by Title IX. Okay, sexual harassment, that should be forbidden by Title IX. Well, what does sexual harassment now mean? Well, sex now means gender identity. So anything that you say, so you use the wrong pronouns, that is now sexual harassment. So all of these schools, every school that accepts federal money, will now have to have pronoun police and basically infuse gender ideology throughout their programming so as not to violate sexual harassment and therefore lose their school lunch money. It is hard to explain how drastic of a change this will be for every educational program down to the youngest kids. And that really does infringe on parental rights, because a lot of this stuff is meant to be taught in the home, is meant to be discussed in the home. It has nothing to do with school. It's not scholastic. And yet those decisions are being taken away by parents because they're being forced to be put in schools.
Don't comply. Don't comply. Don't let your child play the pronoun game. Don't you play it. This is going to be taken up. They're not going to get away with this, May. There's more to discuss, but before we get to remedies, but I do want to say you guys are filing a lawsuit almost immediately at the Independent Women's Forum, yes?
Absolutely. This is something that we've been expecting. They announced that they wanted to do this in June 2022. So we've had 2 years to think about it. And this is a lawsuit that is going to succeed.
It's an unconstitutional suppression of speech, and it compels speech, which the government may not do. They may not look at your child and say, you will say she when you see someone with a penis coming at you in the locker room, or you lose your right to your education. That's how messed up what they did today is. I am not overstating what's about to happen. That is the law now via agency regulation.
Exactly. Misgendering, which I hate that term because it is using the correct pronouns, is now going to be sexual harassment. And the weird thing about saying that any of this has to do with sex is that the pronoun game has gotten to be completely unrelated to sex, right? So there are students who want to be furries. There are Z pronouns, I don't even know. I'm not a pronoun expert, but they have nothing to do with sex. And so to say that Title IX, a sex protection statute, mandates that people use whatever pronouns you want, otherwise that's sexual harassment, is completely not based in the statute. And one other thing that they did with this rule. So the Supreme Court has said that in order for sexual harassment to come under Title IX, it has to be pretty extreme. It has to be both severe and pervasive, meaning multiple times. So that if you say, hey, cutie, one time, that's not severe and that's not pervasive and it's not going to be sexual harassment. But if you keep doing the same thing, or if the thing that you say isn't, hey, cutie, it's really bad, then you reach severe, and maybe pervasive. What the Biden administration did is it said, you don't need both anymore. You don't need it to be severe and pervasive. You need it to be severe or pervasive, which is, of course, not what the Supreme Court has said that it means. And so one instance, if they think it's severe enough, could be a basis for an individual's punishment. And a school, of course, is going to try and punish any instance of quote unquote misgendering because they don't want to lose their federal funding. So this is the pronoun police. And of course, there have been court cases about misgendering and whether the First Amendment protects your right to speak on matters of your own opinion. And a lot of courts have gotten this correct. But I think that it's still going to be a heavy lift and a monumental challenge to say that when I use correct pronouns, I'm not trying to harass somebody. I am speaking the truth and I'm speaking about what I believe. And the First Amendment protects my right to speak on personal and political matters in a certain way.
Is there any way Chevron deference has any impact on this? There's a big Supreme Court case that's pending right now. We expect a decision this summer, June, July, early, on what is the power of agencies within the executive branch? How much can they do? These are not elected representatives. They're agency bureaucrats who got appointed by, in this case, Joe Biden or his lackeys. How are they ruling over us?
Yeah, so Chevron deference, I think, really originally was meant for really wonky areas of like energy policy where you want the agency to set a certain rate that makes sense. And you don't want judges coming in and trying to figure out, oh, that rate was right or wrong. It's meant for experts. There is no expertise required to figure out what sex means. Sex is a binary biological concept. There is no reason why the Department of Education, and if there was expertise on what sex means, it would not be with the Department of Education, which is illegal. It shouldn't exist. But to the extent it is legal, it's because it doesn't really exist. It's a pass-through organization where they just take federal dollars and give it to schools with hooks on it. They have no expertise on what sex means. The people who have expertise on interpreting words are judges. And so I would say that Chevron deference should not, I don't know whether it's going to apply, probably won't, it'll probably change based on the pending Supreme Court ruling. But whatever remains, it is not the expertise of the Department of Education. It is the expertise of judges. And I think that they're not going to defer the Department of Education's bizarre ruling that sex means whatever you think.
Are you passionate about protecting civil liberties like free speech? Well, I've got something special for you. You could consider opening a Donors Trust charitable giving account, a donor-advised fund designed specifically with your values in mind. Imagine being able to support causes that you actually care about, all while safeguarding the principles that matter most to you. Whether it's defending free speech, promoting limited government, or supporting individual rights, your contributions can make a difference. It's straightforward giving, so you can focus on what truly matters, making a positive impact. Your donations are securely managed, ensuring your hard-earned money goes exactly where you intend it to. Plus, with built-in safeguards, you can trust that your support is being used effectively and responsibly. So if you're ready to make a difference, go to donorstrust.org/MK today to download the ultimate survival guide to charitable giving. Learn more at donors, trust.org/MK. donorstrust.org/MK to download the Donors Trust Giving Guide today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.